Hello and welcome to class number 10 of the Azon Masterclass series. Today we are going to be learning about marketing our website. However, today's class is going to be a little different from the other ones in this series, simply because there are a lot of different ways that you can really go about marketing your site. And ultimately, if I was going to walk you through each of the possible ways that you could market your site, it could take up easily 2 to 5 classes. So instead, what I have done is provide you with a fairly in-depth walkthrough in the guidebook for class number 10 that shows you a number of different methods that you can use to actually go about marketing your site. So for today's actual class, it's still going to be about marketing, but instead of giving you a specific walkthrough of all of these different techniques, instead, what I am going to do is really talk to you more about why you should do marketing, or whether you should even bother putting in the effort to do this type of thing. Most people assume once you finish building a site that the next thing you should be doing is going out and doing a ton of marketing for it. Sometimes this might be the case, but it really just depends on your actual website. What is your site ultimately about? Do you think that there would be a point in doing marketing for it? Or would your time be better spent simply working on the website itself, adding more pages, adding more content to it? So along those lines, one of the most crucial things that you should really understand about marketing a website is that there are a number of different ways that you can go about doing it, but they all kind of are based on a couple of main principles. For example, you can pay for advertising. There are a lot of different ways, a lot of different companies that you can do paid advertising with. There are even a lot of different types of paid advertising, but ultimately, all paid advertising still works on the same basic principle. You pay somebody money to get traffic from somebody else, and you try to convert that traffic into email leads or sales or whatever it is your site is trying to go after. Then you have your free marketing avenues. And there are a lot of these, but they all still kind of are based on a couple of main principles. If you are going to do free marketing and actually generate decent traffic from it, chances are you're going to have to put forth a fair amount of work to do something like that. Because you can't just go out there and spam a link to your website all over the internet. That used to work 10, 20 years ago, but these days you can't get away with doing that type of thing. It's not going to benefit you, and in fact, it can actually harm your website. So it's these reasons why I felt like it was really important that I take this class and give you some of the tools that you're going to need, some of the knowledge to carry out some of these marketing tactics. But instead of encouraging you to just dive right into them, instead, I want you to take a minute to really think about how you would go about marketing your website. Why are you marketing your website? Think about it from the other side of the spectrum. The people that you want to come and visit your website. If you go out there and spam your link all over the internet, would people really want to click on your link and go and visit your site? Or are you basically going to have to trick them into it? For this reason, all of the free advertising methods that you could possibly use to get truly high quality traffic, to be able to build some kind of a loyal audience with things like social media accounts, Facebook, or creating some kind of a YouTube channel where your videos, people actually want to watch them instead of them just being essentially worthless spam videos that are only created just to try to drive traffic. Even if that is your ultimate goal to drive more traffic to your site, if you are fixated only on that, you really won't get anywhere with your marketing, and you can end up doing more harm than good in most cases. So, when it comes to actually putting forth your efforts with various types of free marketing, whether it is trying to build up some kind of a social media following or perhaps publishing content on other websites, they're all going to require some kind of work. With publishing content places, you can, for example, get a guest blogging spot on other related websites and write articles for them that are ultimately going to help to drive traffic to your site. But unless you can really get on a site that's already extremely popular, a site that already has really great search rankings related to what your website is about, the payoff for the effort that you put into something like that may not really be worth the time that you're putting into it. So, unless you can find something that you believe is really going to provide a lot of targeted traffic, you should really reconsider whether that type of marketing would be the best for your site. Sometimes what your website is about can heavily affect whether other kinds of marketing can even work for you or not. Social media is one of the best examples that I can give you along these lines. If you are thinking about doing anything related to social media with marketing your website, it really doesn't matter what it's about. If you expect for other people to not only want to read or watch what you're putting out there, but to also engage with your content, your website really needs to be about something that people already are willing to engage about. You don't want to have to force them because it really will not work out. The time and effort you would have to put into it to build any kind of a decent audience could be better spent doing other things. So ultimately, what will people use social media to engage with others about? It's going to be subjects that they are extremely passionate about. Sometimes with your hobby niches, not all of them, but at least some of them, you will have really passionate followings, people that want to share what they are doing in that hobby, talk about it with other people. There are other things like controversial subjects, gun control, for example. It will generate a lot of engagement and discussion, but it's going to be very polarized. You're going to have a lot of positives, a lot of people that kind of back up one side, and then a lot of people that are the exact opposite and are very against. Any kind of a subject that you have where you have a very polarized audience like that, you're very likely to get a lot of social media engagement. However, not a lot of those niches really make the best Amazon affiliate niches. So the vast majority of them that do work out for social media will likely be based on some kind of hobby that has a very passionate following. One of my hobbies that I do that has a very passionate following is carnivorous plants. I've been growing them for, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. It's not extremely difficult to build a Facebook fan page or a Facebook group or a YouTube channel relating to that particular niche, because there are a lot of people that are interested in it and want to engage with other people about it. In fact, there's this whole kind of community that's centered around those types of plants. And the social media websites are some of the most common places that these people actually gather. So certain niches like that are really prime and ripe for extra marketing, especially marketing that has to do with anything that requires engagement with your audience. So, with that said, whenever you are considering doing your own marketing, make sure you take this into consideration. Ask yourself, do you think people will respond to what you are doing if you're going after some kind of social media? Do you think people will want to talk to other people about the subject? Will people actually help you in generating their own content? That's one of the biggest things. And that also comes back to whether or not your efforts can pay off and be beneficial, or whether they're better spent doing something else. With a social media account that really doesn't ignite a fire in people to want to engage, you're going to be almost completely responsible for generating any kind of content that's going on through there. So if you create a Facebook group and you're finding that you have to make a post every single day to actually get any kind of response or engagement, chances are, if you have to do that when you have a few hundred members in your group, it's probably never going to get any better, even when you build it up to a few thousand members. When you're dealing with one of these more engaging niches, though, you can start up something like this. And in the beginning, you might have to give it that extra push to kind of get things rolling. But then your audience actually can take over with your content creation. With the carnivorous plant niche, for example, I actually started a Facebook group for that niche, um, give or take, maybe 2 years ago. And in the beginning, the first maybe 6 months or so, I had to do a lot of extra content creation for it. I had to kind of go out and try to do some networking with the community, get some people that would actually come into my group, some well known people, and start doing things, start making posts in my group. But then once it had a certain number of people in it, once it had the right people in it, especially, it kind of took on a life of its own. Now, from doing no additional promotion or marketing or extra networking for it, or really even any posts of my own, it's grown from just a few hundred members to well over 2,000 members in just the last year and a half or so. And the best part is, it's super, super active. There are posts going on every single day, many of them, and I don't have to make any of them. And they're all related to my group. So ask yourself if whatever your site is about, do you think it can be something like that? Do you think that other people would want to engage with other like minded people that are interested in that subject? Do you think they would want to actually post pictures or talk to each other about it, give advice to each other? Or do you think it's more of one of those quiet hobbies that you just enjoy by yourself? Ultimately, how you think people will react to whatever your site is about, whether you think it's an engaging subject for them or not, will have a drastic effect on whether the vast majority of the decent marketing avenues these days, about whether they will even work for your site or not. So the question is, if you find yourself in a situation where you're pretty confident that nobody's going to be interested in engaging about your product. Um, Another site that I've done before, something I've featured in the guidebooks throughout the series, Down Comforter Guide, there's not really anybody that's going to want to engage about that kind of product. You might have your random couple of people here and there that would be interested in briefly talking about it, but they're not going to be there all the time. They're not going to be discussing it on a regular basis. They're not going to be posting pictures of the new comforter they just got in the mail. It's not going to be one of those kinds of niches. So, the vast majority of these different kinds of marketing techniques that you can use that are based on social media and other people engaging, they don't really work unless you're just trying to force it at them. And even then, it only works in really small numbers where you have to get a lot of exposure for just a tiny number of people to actually click through and visit your website. So, in cases like that, I would not want to spend a lot of time or effort, maybe even zero time and effort doing marketing. You can build a successful Amazon site by simply building the website. As long as you make sure that it's getting indexed by Google, then your site can actually be successful. The more content you build on it, the larger your pages are, the more pages you have, the more different subjects that you are targeting that relate to your niche, the better off your site will be in areas such as search engine traffic. It also makes sure that you keep ownership of the work that you are doing. What I mean by that is, let's say you go out there and you spend a lot of time and effort creating a bunch of content for a number of social media accounts, maybe doing some guest blog posts for other websites. You create some videos to put up on YouTube. Ultimately, all of this work and effort that you're doing, you're building content for other websites. So that's only really good to help to get your site some initial exposure, maybe to make your site look better in the eyes of a search engine. It definitely does help if you have other quality websites out there that are related to your niche. If they have a link that points back to your site, it's certainly going to benefit your search engine rankings. But the question is whether or not you can actually find that. There are plenty of sites out there like your website or that are related to what your website is about. But can you get any of those decent sites to actually give you a link? Is the real question. Beyond that one aspect of whether you can get those good quality backlinks, the rest of marketing is really just about driving traffic in the moment or building some kind of an audience, some kind of a following. So, unless you can really accomplish any of those things, you are much better off solely focusing just on your website and the content that is there, expanding the pages, building more pages to target more topics. And ultimately, if you think you've reached a point where you want to see whether a site's going to work out or not before you put a lot of extra effort into it, build a site out to a certain point. Do a minimal amount of marketing for it so you could at least get a couple of links out there on the internet that are not going to be interpreted as spam links. And then step back from your site for a little while. Wait and see how it does before you pour a ton of effort into it. While you're waiting, you can move on to another website. That's especially important with these Amazon affiliate sites. Unless you spend years and years building up one single website, most likely you're not going to make what anybody would consider to be a full-time income from one single Amazon affiliate site. Even if you could, the real question is whether you would want to, or whether you would be better off dividing those efforts among multiple sites. If your site has any kind of seasonal tendency to it, to where your income from the site would not be fairly steady throughout each month of the year, it can be a really good idea to expand your portfolio to where during the downtimes of one site, you have another website that would be more popular during that time of the year. So all of this ties again in with marketing, because marketing is where a lot of people usually end up once they've built a site, focusing a lot of their efforts. And it can be worth it in a lot of cases if your site is the right kind of site for these different kinds of marketing methods, or if you can find the right types of websites to actually get some quality links from them. Now, the other kind of marketing that's possible besides the free marketing, I mentioned this very briefly at the beginning of today's class, is paid advertising. I've seen a lot of people try paid advertising for their Amazon sites, but ultimately, I personally don't believe it's worth it. I don't believe that there are really good enough ways that you can do paid advertising that will be profitable on an Amazon site. Now, let me explain why. when you're doing paid advertising, even at the cheapest possible rates that you could find it, let's say you could get it for 2 cents a click for really targeted traffic for your niche. In most cases these days, you can't get traffic for 2 cents a click that's definitely going to be related to what you want it to be. So even this is an overly optimistic estimate. At 2 cents a click, it will be highly dependent upon what you are promoting as to whether you could even possibly get close to making a profit promoting Amazon sites with paid advertising. For example, let's say you're promoting a product that costs $100 and you're going to get a 4% commission if you sell that product. That means you would get a $4 commission if you could refer one sale on that $100 product. So you have to look at the commission that you could be making from a sale and then work backwards off of that number and ask yourself, how many visitors would you actually need to get to your website to generate that one sale? From the sale on the Amazon website, you're sending traffic through your affiliate link to the Amazon website. But you have to send typically a lot more than one person through that affiliate link to generate that one sale. Sometimes it takes 25 people. Sometimes it takes 100 or more people. It really just depends on your website in a lot of cases, the quality of the traffic that you are sending through. So let's just say optimistically that 50 people have to click on your Amazon link before one of them will end up buying the product. So those 50 people that clicked on your Amazon link, they were on your website. And so they land on your website from somewhere else. But then not everybody that lands on that page on your site is actually going to click on your Amazon link. So then you have to consider how many people are actually going to click on the link that view that page on your site. So that 50 people that you needed to click on the link then turns into a lot more people. Let's say 1 out of every 5 people that view your page actually end up clicking on your Amazon link. That turns your 50 people into 250 people. So that means you have to send 250 people to a page on your site before you end up with one sale generating $4. If you're paying 2 cents a click for those 250 people, it costs you $5 to get those 250 people. That results in the one sale. So your conversion rates, how many people have to land on your page to get one click on your Amazon link? And then how many people have to click on your Amazon link before you end up with one sale? If you ultimately do not know those numbers, then you can't really determine what you can afford to pay for advertising to make a profit. So in most cases, you have to have an already successful website that receives traffic so you can know those numbers with any level of confidence before you can really consider doing paid advertising, unless you are willing to take the chance that you might do paid advertising and not make any sales and lose whatever you put into the paid advertising. In most cases that I have seen, and even in my own personal experiences, I've tried, believe me. I've never really seen somebody successfully making decent profits doing paid advertising with Amazon simply because the commission rates, the actual amount that you can make from the sale of one single product, they're typically not high enough. There might be certain cases where that won't be true. Consider what you can make off of each individual product. Look into the traffic that you could buy for that product. See what it's going to cost you for every click. And just find out what your numbers would need to be just for you to break even on that advertising. Typically, once you see what those break even numbers are going to be, it's usually common sense whether or not it will work out. If they're obscene numbers, if, you have to send 10 people to your site and everybody has to click and you have to convert people at 10% or something just to be able to break even, it's probably not going to work out that way in reality. A lot of times you end up with click through and conversion rates of 1% or less. So that means 100 people have to go to a page before one person buys or before a couple of people click on a link. Those numbers, when you're paying for each visitor, usually don't work out very good. So now, if you are pretty confident that whatever kind of product you're promoting or whatever niche your site is about, if you're pretty confident that there is some marketing potential in it, by all means, pursue some marketing with your site. Make a plan, though, for what you want to do. Do a little bit of research and see if there is anything anywhere close to what you're trying to go for, and see if it's popular or not. Chances are, if you can't find even one other person out there that is successfully doing anything close to what you want to try to do with marketing for your website, you're probably not going to be able to pull it off yourself. There's probably a reason why other people are not already doing it successfully. Hopefully, by giving you these tips and by making this class more about whether or not you should market for an Amazon affiliate site, I truly hope that this will help to for people that do decide to do marketing, for them to do more effective marketing. And if you don't decide to do marketing, I hope it helps you to put your time into something that will be more worthwhile. There are too many people these days that once they build their site, they're just like, okay, I need to go and build a bunch of backlinks for my site because that's what's going to help with search engine rankings. And that is certainly true. If you can build good backlinks for your site, it will help with search rankings. But there's a big difference between good backlinks and just simply building links to your site. There's all kinds of software that will claim it's going to build all kinds of links for you. And too often I see brand new Amazon affiliates build out their site and then they jump into using some kind of automated software like that because they believe it's going to help to boost their search rankings. When in fact, tactics like that are not new. Automated software can't actually go out and build you any kind of a high quality backlink, or else it wouldn't be a high quality backlink anymore. It's going to be things like spamming WordPress comments or spamming comments on pretty much any kind of social media. There's all those different ways of building backlinks, but that really is not what you're after. It's not going to help your website. So if you don't have a good way to go about getting a quality backlink for your site, and by quality, I'm talking about a site that's actually relational to yours. If your site is about down comforters, you don't want a backlink from a website that's about cars. No matter how great that website is, no matter how much traffic it has, no matter how great the search rankings might be for that website, if it has absolutely nothing to do with your site, it's really not going to provide you a major benefit with direct traffic or with increased search rankings.